Okay, what would make the class more engaging? I would say I love Kahoots. I love when professors do Kahoots just for fun or like to prepare us for an exam. You can do this for like extra credit. You can do this for a point. Another thing would be like discussions in class. You can just hear different discussion without like getting offended. Like, for example, if they asked us what would make me a better professor, we would say stuff. I just don't want them to get offended. Like, if you want to do good at teaching, then just hear us out, you know? I have one of my professors, she asked us like, oh, what would be better, how to be better at this? So we would tell her, I like professor like that. I really love these professors, you know? They would just listen to us and do it to get better at teaching. So we don't want to write some bad stuff about my professors about them. You want to keep your reading good, so just listen, hear us out.
So I think some classes can be boring if it's just always the same thing happening. For example, if a professor just giving a lecture the whole period, every class day, that's really boring. I think they should sort of mix it up. Maybe throw in an activity here and there at the beginning of every class, maybe some kind of discussion to go with group mates, classwork, just small stuff like that, so that it's just something different.
For classroom engagement, I think that activities would be very well, because I feel like if you're in a classroom and you're just listening to a lecture, you kind of get bored, your mind wanders. So incorporating activities would be really helpful for the students to be more engaged in class.
A class would be a lot more engaging if professors don't read off of a PowerPoint. I think that there should be activities and things that we can do for the learning environment. I've had a wide variety of professors, and I'm not saying they all do this, but a class becomes very boring, and you can read a PowerPoint on Canvas on your own time, you know? So show your love for teaching, show who you are, you know, show your passion and your knowledge to your students by doing different things in class, and so that you can ask questions and learn more. Otherwise, you know, it just becomes very monotone, and sometimes you end up falling asleep.
Currently, we also have faculty that have defaulted to reading to us PowerPoint slides or the book. And fortunately, I know how to read on my own. So I need faculty who can actually connect concepts and allow us opportunity to ask good questions and give us the time to think about the questions we want to ask. Right now, it feels like they're just trying to rush through an hour and 15 minutes, cover as much content as possible, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're learning the content. And that would help me feel more engaged in the classroom.
Engagement would also be better if professors don't read off from their slides, because it seems like robotic and boring. So if they just, you know, speak from what they know, it'll be more natural, and I think more students would be engaged.
So I would find it more motivating if professors actually did examples on paper instead of giving us PDFs with solutions on it. That would be a lot better. It would help us engage a lot better with each other and the professor, of course, and we would learn a lot better, in my opinion, or my experiences with my other classes. Because not all professors do that, but some professors here and there, they do that. So I applaud the professors that actually go through each problem and explain it step by step, and it helps us figure it out a lot more.
I believe class would be more engaging if professors allowed time for students to actually do examples rather than or parts of examples, because that would be a little bit more effective with times. Maybe just parts of examples that might be a little bit more difficult, or math that you might find that students need more practice on. But if there's time for that, it definitely would make it more engaging, because then the students actively practicing the concepts that are being taught in class rather than just passively seeing it. You know, it's easy to like be like, oh, that was easy when you see the solution. But when you're actually trying to engage and think critically about the stuff before you know the solution, it's often a lot more challenging than just, again, looking at the solution and being like, oh, that was an easy problem. It's not that hard.
The idea that would help me feel more engaged in the classroom would be to have the professors solve along with the students whatever the problems are being solved in the classroom. So like, for example, if the professor is trying to solve a certain question, they could take the students' help while getting to the answer, and that would make the students understand the concepts more and help them in remembering the concept rather than just taking away things from what the professor has written on the board.
I would feel much more engaged in the classroom if professors went through problems live. This didn't seem to be a problem in 2019 before we hit the pandemic, but once we hit Zoom, and even after for this semester when we transitioned back to being on campus, professors have defaulted to using PowerPoint slides or using old notes where they did handwrite things. And so when they go over problems, especially for any STEM fields, it's harder for us to follow and actually have good formulated questions to ask if we're just reading something and a professor says, so this is how you do this, and then moves on.
So one way to make a class a lot more engaging is to break up not just by class day, but within the class period, having a little bit of lecture, a little bit of group work, a little bit of discussion. And I think every single day needs to have an equal, divided amount of those different kind of exercises, even if you're going from one and back to another, just to keep students engaged in doing different kind of things and just engaging with the material in a different way. Because a full day of lecture can be quite intense, and some students can just check out if they, get tired of it.